Now I see us on there.
Can you let one more panelist in the waiting room, please?
Hello. Right.
All right. Do we have everyone present?
Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So are we introducing ourselves? I know everybody said where they were from. I'm from DC.
Live.
Not,
We're
not
live
yet.
now
Not
on
yet. We're
YouTube.
live.
We're live on YouTube. So we'll go around and do that in just a moment. Thank you, Ashley.
No problem.
All right. We're just giving everyone a chance to get settled and get in and join us online. All right. Thank you so much, ladies. I want to mute that one over there. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. Good afternoon. And on behalf of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated and the Epsilon Tau Sigma chapter located in Mo City, Texas, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're so happy to have you here today. My name is Shauna Dunn, and I am the Community Service Chair for Epsilon Tau Sigma. We thank you so much for joining us for our first community service virtual panel event. This is exciting, and I'm so happy that we're here today. Our first event is entitled Sickled Stories. And so the purpose of this panel is to really highlight our discussion around sickle cell disease. We want to bring more awareness to the experiences that these women have dealing with sickle cell. We want to learn more about it, and we also want to be able to move to advocate for our sisters with sickle cell in order to make sure that they receive the proper, respectful care that they truly deserve. So what we want to do at first, what we'll do in this panel discussion is I will introduce your panelist, your host, excuse me, and then after introducing her, she'll have a discussion around sickle cell. We will take questions. You can type them, even though we're live, you can type them. I will be in the background helping to facilitate those questions for our panelists. And so without further ado, we'll get started. I want to first introduce you to none other than Soror Faith Adjei-Sarpong. She is a passionate global health advocate, researcher, and second-year MPH student at UTMB. She was recently named the 2025 Archer Fellow. Congratulations, sis. Her resume runs long, reflecting her leadership in public health, policy research, and sickle cell disease advocacy. As the founder of Sickled Souls and advocate of this year by I'm sorry, as the founder of Sickle Souls and advocate of the year of Sickle Cell 101, she works with organizations like the As One Foundation and the Sickle Cell Association of Houston to drive systemic change in healthcare. Beyond her advocacy, Faith is a proud member of the Epsilon Tau Sigma chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. Sigma Gamma Rho is dedicated to service, scholarship, and sisterhood. And through her work, she continues to champion health equity and amplify the voices of underserved communities. So without further ado, I'd like to turn this over to Soror Faith Adjei-Sarpong. Adjei-Sarpong. Forget, I'm gonna get that.
Howdy, everyone. My name is Soror Faith, and I have 7 beautiful ladies with me, and I will be introducing them to you, and they will also introduce themselves to you as well. So we're going to start off with Eva Boche. So Eva Boche is a dedicated advocate for sickle cell disease, awareness, education, and support. Her work focuses on raising awareness about challenges faced by individuals living with SCD, promoting early diagnosis, and advocating for better healthcare access and treatment options. She collaborates with patients, healthcare professionals, and policymakers to push for improved care and research funding. Her background includes community outreach, organizing awareness campaigns, and providing resources to empower those affected by SCD. Through her efforts, Eva strives to make a lasting impact on the lives of individuals and families dealing with this condition. Welcome, Eva, to the panel. Now we're gonna get into Alexandria. So Alexandria Smith is a social impact leader. I know I can't read today, y'all. She is a social impact leader, storyteller, and advocate dedicated to transforming the lives of individuals living with sickle cell disease. As the founder of Hemoglobin, a nonprofit leveraging storytelling as a catalyst for systemic change, she is pioneering programs that provide economic opportunities, financial support, and media amplification for sickle cell warriors. With a background in technology and entrepreneurship, Alex is building the first of its kind accelerator program tailored to sickle cell entrepreneurs and ensuring that warriors will not only survive but thrive. Her advocacy spans across film, media, and community engagement, bridging the gap between awareness and tangible impact. Through her work, she is committed to reshaping the narrative of sickle cell disease and driving long-term solutions for the community. I love all y'all's bios, but that was just wow, impactful, Alex. Yes. Next, we're gonna get into Sade. Sade McGrew is a graduate of Southern University A&M College, where she developed a strong foundational political advocacy. Passionate about making a difference, Sade has focused much of her political work on advancing awareness and research for sickle cell disease. Their dedication to this has driven meaningful contributions to both political and healthcare landscapes. Welcome, Sade. And the last bio I'll be reading is for Cameron. Cameron is a 26-year-old sickle cell warrior born and raised in Houston, Texas. She attended Sam Houston State University and she's a proud member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. Cameron has been an active advocate for sickle cell disease and has always worked with other sickle cell advocates in the Houston area. She also volunteered and participated in multiple studies at hospitals such as Texas Children's, Houston Methodist, and UT Physician Clinics, and plans to continue spreading awareness about sickle cell. Now, the other four ladies, if y'all could tell us about yourself, introduce yourselves.
Hello, everyone. I am Jasmine. I graduated from Texas Southern University with a background in clinical laboratory science. My goal was to go to PA school and become a PA within hematology to focus on pediatrics and hematology. I did put a pause on that, but in the meantime, I did focus on advocating through Sigma Gamma Rho at TSU, and I was also in a group called Her, and we brought awareness to TSU's campus through blood drives, and we also did like handed out flyers, and we held panels to give out more information and stuff like that. Since I've graduated college, I've just been advocating for myself through like when I go to the hospital and things like that. I am looking more into getting to advocating and learning more about what I can do to help. Um, but yeah, that's a little bit about me. I've been in Texas since 2015, and it's definitely different from where I'm from. So I want to be able to bring more awareness to all the nurses, because you would think that they would know a lot more, but they don't. So I definitely want to be able to bring a lot more awareness to the hospital and make sure that people with sickle cell disease are covered and that we don't have to fight for our lives when we're in there.
Hi, I'm Kaya. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. My bio is not as cool as everybody else's, but I'm cool too. So I don't really I didn't really go the school route. I did go to school and got my certificate to be an MA. I love doing phlebotomy. I find it to be one of my superpowers just because we grew up being stuck and things like that. So I like being able to help people not have to be stuck as many times. I will say I like to be an advocate for my friends and family, along with the people that I meet through social media that have sickle cell that may not know people. There's been a lot of people that I've met this past year that haven't met somebody with sickle cell. So it's pretty cool to be the first person that somebody meets. Very happy to be here with you guys and to hear everybody's stories.
Ashley, if you could say your bio for us or introduce yourself. You're muted.
Maybe we can move on to the next person and let Ashley work out any technical difficulties.
Oh, there it is. Hello. I am so sorry. But my name is Ashley Wilson, and I graduated from Bowie State University. I'm a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and I am a sickle cell warrior. I have a twin. We're both sickle cell warriors, so that kind of inspired me and my sister to be proud, not just sickle cell warriors, but advocates of sickle cell. So we've done different things with our community, with our nonprofit organization and working just different things just to bring awareness, because just being an adult in the sickle cell like community and seeing just how it's neglected, and it's not the same as pediatrics. And so a lot of people also don't know about it within our community, that you'll be surprised who should know about it. So I think it's just like a great thing. Like I said, we've done a lot of things like flag football tournaments, basketball games, and just think like open mic nights. And also we moved to Atlanta and we did a lot of things there, which we also met so many people with sickle cell, which we've never met in our entire lives. I'm like, it's just so crazy how that happened. That's actually how I met Faith. So it's just been an eye opener. It's just a blessing, and we just want to continue doing that. And that's my bio.
Thank you all again for joining us. Um, to start us off, I know that probably people on this live session doesn't know what sickle cell is. So if we could start off by explaining what sickle cell is, or one person could do that, just what the condition is, what does it entail, and then we can move on forward from there.
So anybody, you want anybody to speak? Okay, well, I could say sickle cell disease is basically a genetic disease. It's not contagious. Both parents have to have 50% of the trait, and it's basically a blood disease, which your cells are shaped differently than normal cells. It's shaped as like a sickle, which is like a half moon, a crescent moon, or like a half donut, which they used to explain like in pediatrics, which normal cells are more like a full moon or a full donut. So they flow through our blood cells, our bloodstreams, and which causes pain crisis is when they get clumped up, and it reduces a lot of the blood flow, and it's a lot of blockage. So that's when the pain becomes, which normal cells, they get the natural blood flowing through the stream. So it just makes it easier. And that's my definition.
And also another thing, our hemoglobin, our red blood cells carries oxygen throughout our body. So once that donut doesn't have the oxygen, since it's a C shape, it's not carrying as much oxygen as it could or it should. And as it goes through our streams, like she said, it gets sticky and clumped up, but they also get hard and rigid. So that causes a lot of pain, and it could cause a lot of like organ damage. You could have a stroke, you could have damage to your heart, your kidneys, your liver, anything. So that's why it's very important for us to take care of ourselves and all of that. And that's why it's important to bring awareness. So to start us off with our first question, so advocacy. I want to ask about each of you. How has your advocacy journey been since you started? Where is it at now? And what inspired you to be an advocate? I'll say for myself, what inspired me to be an advocate was being mistreated so many times and also being misunderstood. So, being a little black girl from Texas, West African black girl from Texas, I had to be very loud about how I was being mistreated. And that's how my advocacy blew up. It went from going to like policymakers' offices to social media. And that's where I am today with Sickled Souls and even my own page, Faitho. So it's up for grabs for everyone who wants to start us off. But yeah, how has your advocacy journey been and where you're at now and what inspired you to be an advocate?
I'll go first. I still feel that I'm pretty new in the sickle cell advocacy world. But going through life when I was younger, having to really advocate for myself, not just in the hospitals or the doctor's offices, but at school, my jobs, and um, other things that we do in life, having to explain, to coaches in school why I'm not at this practice or why I'm missing this assignment. At jobs, why I may miss a couple of days of work because I am in the hospital. Um, but stuff like that. And in doing that, I was inspired by just the thought of, my story. Can potentially help others because I know we all go through some of the same things when it comes to like the medical field and how we're treated in those ways. So in doing that, I don't know, I just felt like inspired by our story and bringing awareness to that can help someone who may not have the same access to things that, we have.
I can go
I'll
next.
go next.
Oh,
Oh.
go ahead, girl.
Okay. I definitely have to agree with Cameron. I feel like I'm still very new to advocacy as well. Although I've brought awareness to like other people who didn't know about sickle cell, I still feel like, I could go harder for advocating. But I started advocating for myself once I moved out here in 2015. Beforehand, my grandpa was like pretty much my spokesperson, but since I moved away from him, like I really didn't have anybody to speak up for myself when it came to being hospitalized or having to miss work or school. I even like quit Amazon before because they were like, we need a letter from your doctor to prove you have sickle cell. And I'm like, I don't have to prove that. So I don't need this job at this point. So yeah, I just feel like I'm still new, but I am new into content as well, but I have a YouTube channel and I've like even recorded moments where me and my boyfriend are just sitting in the emergency room and like we're just looking at the time and seeing how long it's going to take for, a nurse or a doctor to come in and talk to us and, give me medication or how long I'm hospitalized and how I'm being treated while I'm hospitalized and stuff like that. So even though it's like real raw and emotional, I definitely still document it because a lot of people don't actually see what we're going through. And a lot of people think like, sometimes you're faking, like, oh, she may just say she's having a crisis to get out of this or something like that. So, yeah, I just want people to see like this is real. We get treated very badly. And even being women of color, it doesn't make it any better. So, yeah, I definitely am glad to be a part of this panel, and I can't wait to link up with you guys afterwards to learn how we can advocate more and bring more awareness to, everybody else who doesn't know about it.
All right, I guess I'll go next. I do want to say that the through line or the common thread here is I predict that a lot of our advocacy, like beginning stories, are through pain or like our personal journeys and personal stories. And I think that that's really beautiful. And I think that we're starting to see more advocates now that, especially we have platforms like social media and things like that. So a little bit around my story. Mine also started really out of a traumatic experience. I had a near-death experience back in 2022. I've been pretty blessed and privileged throughout like my high school years to have a fairly healthy lifestyle. And it wasn't until after I graduated college and started becoming an adult that sickle cell reminded itself that it lived inside of me. And I was receiving a lot of complications. And so I was trying to take a new medication. I can't pronounce its full name. It's called Cres for short, but I had an allergic reaction to it. And so when I made it to the hospital to get that to resolve for the reaction, I was met with hospital negligence that resulted in almost losing my life. So I had to get 3 blood transfusions. I was in the hospital for almost a month. I had to learn how to walk. Took about a month and a half. It was a lot and it was very traumatic. Through that though, I do think that everything works out for your good. And in that moment, I realized that I didn't want any other warrior to experience what I experienced or any other warriors have experienced because that's not a singular moment, unfortunately. So when I was observing the landscape of advocacy within sickle cell, I didn't want to be redundant or, try to repeat any initiatives or efforts that are already being done. I wanted to figure out, well, what is my role in this agenda for the fight to sickle cell? And like we all said, I realized that stories are powerful and that need to be amplified beyond just the medical spaces or beyond social media. How can we bring more sickle cell narratives to film and media, film and entertainment? How can we put that in more scripts? How can we put it in more media events, like within sports, work that Ashley's doing down in Atlanta, right? So these are the things that we took charge that I started back in 2022, but we became 501(c)(3) in 2023. It's called hemoglobin. If you see next to my name, it's a play on how we all know when we get our hemoglobin checked, but the GLOW stands for giving life over worry, because that's what we want to represent is providing more life and hope to warriors and to give us the microphones because it's our stories to be told. However, as we started to produce stories and collect warrior stories and amplify it, we didn't want to potentially exploit those stories by not driving direct impact. So as we were collecting stories, we started to identify common either problems or needs that haven't been addressed just yet. And so we figured why not try to address it since we're in the field, we're actually talking to warriors and seeing what needs haven't been met. And so, like Faith said in the bio, we're actually trying to launch a first of its kind warrior entrepreneurship accelerator program. Because many of us, I think Jasmine talked about it, Cameron talked about it, the difficulty of even trying to maintain a typical 9 to 5 and not having that flexibility or stability to build that career that we deserve to have. And so we believe that entrepreneurship is one of the key successes to that. So that's where we're currently at. To answer your question, that is where we're currently at within our advocacy work. It's exciting because growing up, I transparently, y'all, when I was sick, I was sick. When I wasn't, I wasn't. So I didn't want to be. I didn't go to sickle cell camps. I didn't meet other warriors. I was just so separate from that life. And I would say it bit me in the ass a little bit when I got older and realized how important it was to relate and to talk to people that have gone through things. But as a kid, you just don't want to be different. So I would never guess in a million years that I would be here, but it took a traumatic experience for me to pick up my baton in this fight towards sickle cell. So that's a little bit of our journey. I don't know if I said our organization, but it's called Hemoglobin, and I'm founder of it. And yeah, that's a little bit about my advocacy journey.
Thank you. I guess I could go next. What brought me into advocacy? I don't know, just always having sickle cell. I always knew that I wanted to tell my story. I always knew that I wanted to make other warriors not feel left out because I always used to feel left out. So it was my thing. I wanted to help them. I wanted to be the voice for the ones who are ashamed to have sickle cell, who think it's a secret thing. They don't want people judging them, which at first I didn't used to understand, but now I understand it just because it's we get such a negative name or drug seeking. And it's these other diseases don't get, the same treatment that we get or the name calls that we get in the hospital. They have nicknames that I never heard of until now. Frequent flyers. And I'm like, what do y'all call the other ones? So that's just, I'm just going to kind of keep it short. So that's what kind of brought me into it. And also just want to make a change and be a voice. I was going to say something else, but I'm just going to keep it short.
I'll go next. I'll say my journey really started with watching my mom with growing up. So initially I went to Nationwide Children's Hospital here in Columbus up until they wanted to do an unnecessary procedure. My mom was asking questions, reaching out to different doctors saying, hey, does this sound right? When she challenged the doctors there, they said, if you don't like it, you could take her somewhere else. So we ended up at Cincinnati Children's, which essentially was a blessing in disguise because I ended up doing a trial with them, which was essentially life-changing for me. But throughout that journey, like I said, it started with watching my mom, and then I was able to go to a hematology oncology camp, and there were things that were happening, like counselors thinking it was funny to tell kids to push somebody in the pool, and it's like, that pool's really cold, that kid has sickle cell, let's not do that, you know? So then there were things where it's like, okay, hey, what are y'all being told during these trainings? And then it was, can I come in and speak on behalf of us so that you all know how to take care of us for this week, because you're our parents for this week. So then it progressed into going to high school and telling my high school, hey, this is what's going on with me. My high school was really small, but they were supportive. All 4 years during September, there was a day the whole school would wear red. If they couldn't find a red shirt, they would bring a basketball, whatever. We would take a picture. Like, everybody was just really supportive, but that was all because of me speaking up, using my voice. I would bring my friends in that also have sickle cell, so there was another voice there that would say, hey, this is what we go through. Let's make everybody aware of it. So currently I did gene therapy, and my advocacy is more so for myself, with saying, hey, this is what I'm feeling. I know there may not be much research past where I've gone, but this is what I'm feeling, not quite understanding it. Can y'all help me? The things of that nature. And I share my story on Instagram as well, as much as I can, to keep people updated on life past gene therapy. So that's where I am.
I think I'll go next. At this point, I feel like we all need therapy because we've been traumatized. But for me, when born sickle cell, like everyone here, growing up, your parents will, advocate for you, and so I wasn't really there till college, really. My traumatic experience was when both the doctor and a nurse told me to shut up, technically. Making too much noise. I have neighbors, someone giving birth, someone dying. I'm not in pain, really. I need to shut up. And that's when I knew, if I don't speak for myself, I may die. And actually, at one point, I actually did die. I'm here now. I'm not a ghost. But that's when it really started for me. So I've been just advocating through school, through friends, family member, and coming from an African background, we are told not to really tell our community that you have sickle cell. I don't know if it's a taboo or whatever it is, but a lot of African members, we don't know ourselves. Like even with me and Faith, we did not know we even had sickle cell with each other till really late stages, really. We're like, oh wait, you have sickle cell, I have sickle cell, cool. We growing up, we played with each other and dolls and all, but we still never knew. But once you really start thinking for yourself, for your own life, really, it's just like a light bulb. I've been going through different treatments, and right now I'm on a treatment called UMAB. I did introduce Faith to it, but she did mention a whole lot of things with friends having different reactions and things like that. So I mean, it's a lot of treatments out there. There's not really a main one that it's all holy as of now. So I feel like we really do need a lot of attention with this type of disease, because a lot of people are dying and it's just kept under the rug. Um, but yeah, that's how it really started for me. And I'm still going through different things as of now. So yeah.
Okay, I'll go. I think my advocacy work started watching my mom as a little girl, watching my mom speak up with doctors and nurses to make sure that I was cared for. I knew that as I grew up and I became an adult, I would have to use my voice as well to make sure that I'm heard and cared for like I'm supposed to. And I've had a couple of traumatic experiences. We can go down the list. There's too many to count at this point. But one that really made a mark was in 2020 during COVID. I had double pneumonia, and my mom, we thought that I had COVID, but the doctors, they weren't testing for it, and everything kept coming back negative. But I was on my deathbed. It was bad. Nobody was listening. And my mom, she was like at her breaking point. So at that point, I was like, Mom, I'm 20, about to be 21. Let me speak. Like, let me tell these doctors like what I need done. And when I did, they finally listened. And it came back. I did have COVID. I had one of the first cases of COVID. It was really bad. But I'm here now, thank God. But I think it started as a little girl watching my mom, and I knew I would have to use my voice as well.
Thank you all for sharing your powerful, powerful stories. Um, I'll say everyone in this room or in this virtual room is a warrior. Like, don't take that name lightly. That is like your badge of honor. It's not a stamp for you to be criticized and ridiculed by the world. And with that being said, I want to ask, what does being an advocate for sickle cell disease mean to you personally? You can say that with one word or one sentence.
I would say it's everything. Because we depend on it. If we don't do it, who will? That's my answer.
For me, I'll say surviving. It's just we just want to live. But yeah, I'll say that one word, surviving.
I would say powerful because our voices matter. And when we speak up, it's, a completely different story than somebody else speaking for us.
Say change, us being the change that we want to see in, the medical fields and stuff like that. So using our stories to move that along to change.
I would say purposeful. At the time that I started it, I was down bad. I didn't want to be here anymore. And I prayed to give me purpose to my pain. And so for me, it's just been a reason to live.
I think for me it would be adversity, because it's like every time we're going through these experiences, or you have to have adversity to really push through and just have courage and the strength just to not give up, to live another day, because it's so easy just for us to say, look, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I know we probably went through it a lot of times where we just like, I don't want to do this, and we just push through and have adversity just to keep going. So that's mine.
I would say needed because our voices are needed. Like, if we're not doing it for ourselves, no one will. If we don't speak up for ourselves, who will?
I love all of y'all answers. And I'll say the word I would pick too is resilience. Because to be an advocate with everything we go through day in and day out, we are very resilient. We show resilience every day. People can't walk a mile in our shoes. So to be able to go through pain and still document or share to the world, this is what sickle cell is. This is like a day in the life of a sickle cell warrior and all that. It shows resilience. Like nothing can stop y'all. Okay. Um, like Eva mentioned earlier, in our culture, um, discussing sickle cell is kind of taboo, or discussing health problems altogether, not just sickle cell, but health problems and all that, and broadcasting it to the world is kind of taboo. So personally, with my advocacy journey, I had a little like, what's the word? Bite back from family members and some friends, like family friends, like, oh, why am I telling the whole world about sickle cell? Oh, about my journey with sickle cell. Why am I disclosing this information about myself? Not saying I'm disclosing like my whole address or something or my social security number, but they're like, why are you telling people you're in pain? Why are you showing people like this is how you look like in the hospital and stuff? So I wanted to ask y'all, like, what are some challenges that y'all have encountered while advocating for yourself or other individuals with sickle cell disease?
I'll go because I think personally, like, I have talked to you and I talked to our other friend about this, because when I stepped out and really just started sharing my journey with people and on the internet, like, I would tell my friends and family like about certain things, but when I really started, like I said, putting it all out there, like, everybody was just like, what are you doing? My mom and even my sister who has sickle cell, like you would think that she would like agree with me, but no, she's like, no, you need to stop. Everyone's just like, this, you're making it look bad, like it's like a cry for help, or you don't want to be you want to be seen as strong, you want to be seen as this. But it's like I do, but I also, it's like it's a purpose in showing this, so they just don't understand. And then even for a moment, I like stopped, and I think that's when I talked to you, Faith, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, should I stop doing this? And I'm like, is it really making me look bad? Like, how do you do this? Like, how do you like get? And it's just like you could get all the positive feedback in the world, but as soon as you get that one or two negative like feedback, you be like, okay, like let me step back. Like, what am I doing? So I think that, and even just more so, like I've started having more crisis the end of 2023 up until now, because I was good for like 5.5 years, and even now, and I'm in the hospital, but I pushed through for my girl. I was like, I'm gonna do this. And even just showing this, like it's just showing warriors just to push through as much as you can and tell your story and just fight through like anything that you can, but don't push it to your limits. Like if you can't, like don't. But yeah, so I would say like just showing them, and even as far as your family, trying to prove to them, or this is like like my sister used to say, oh, you post another video, like I told you don't post it. So it's like a little fake argument, like, well, no, I'm telling my story and I don't care what people think. But you really do care what people think and say, because like I said, it's just those one or two negative things. It's like, okay, it could just, I don't know, deter you just from posting anything at all. Like I really stopped a lot, a lot of things. So that's my thing.
That's another factor. That negative, I didn't mean to cut anyone off, but that negative feedback you get from somebody, it could be a family member, friend, or even a stranger offline. It just puts you in a headspace where your mental is already kind of, I don't want to say broken down, but it's kind of like chipped away a little bit. That someone's negativity came into the picture and it's like, dang. But y'all carry away.
Now, I was gonna say you could say broken down because the mental is broken down.
It is.
Piggybacking off of that, we our following and stuff, on social media and stuff, like what they think of us, what they're watching us, like go through and stuff like that. I feel like we do have to think about, how they feel and stuff like that. So the biggest challenge is getting through mentally, those negative comments or like those negative feedbacks that we're getting from them. And it's like, okay. I feel like that's the biggest challenge in my opinion.
Well,
Oh,
go ahead. You good?
okay. I was gonna say, definitely social media, because sometimes if you don't have anybody, you kind of like post to, maybe have like a few little, hey, I feel better, or if you need anything, I'll come see you, things like that. But then you do get in that headspace, like, should I even post? Like, am I doing too much? Like, but that definitely can be a challenge. And I want to add, like, being in the hospital too, like, especially if you don't have a certain doctor, just going to the emergency room for a pain crisis, and then they give you your 2 doses of medicine, and then they're like, how are you feeling? Do you think you can go home? Like, no, girl, I can't. You cannot send me home yet. I don't care if my pain is down to a 4. Like, it can kick back up. So definitely advocating for yourself, like in the emergency room, is definitely a challenge also, because sometimes they're just trying to get you out of there instead of making sure that you're actually, okay.
For me, I would say I've always told my story and like who I was, and that I had sickle cell and I wasn't going to hide it. I've always been one of those people. So when it comes to social media and like bad comments, for me, I've had like one time somebody told me since I did gene therapy, I was no longer a sickle cell warrior. And I was just like, okay. Like, but for me, when it comes to like my Instagram and stuff, I don't really care. I'll say whatever I want to say. And I tell people, if you follow me, you can follow me, but understand that that's also my personal page. I want to say what I want to say. So I've never, it's kind of interesting hearing y'all's different stories about how you you are hesitant to post what's going on. Cause I'll get on there and I'll be like, have y'all ever done have you ever heard of this medication? Because they talk about putting me on this. Like, so like I'll just get on there and just start talking. If you respond, cool. If you don't, cool. If you got something negative to say, cool. It's my life. I'm sharing it, and that's what it is. So that's kind of my standpoint on that.
I feel like sometimes I'm like hesitant to post about sickle cell because I feel like, am I doing too much? Like, am I asking like, because a lot of people will be like, oh, you're just asking for attention. Girl, no, this is my life. Sorry. If you don't like it, scroll or unfollow. But I have to like stop psyching myself out from talking about it on my platforms because I do have a platform that I can use to talk about it. So I'm starting to not be as hesitant with posting about it. You're gonna hear about it and see it. This is my page.
Yeah, I think mine is similar. I think, well, similar to Kaya and to y'all's. I haven't had any like negative responses, thankfully. I don't know how I'll respond. So let's just say that. But I think for myself, because growing up, I concealed so much that I had sickle cell. And so it was a personal triumph to overcome because I was afraid that sickle cell would be my identity if I came on here and started to just all of a sudden only talk about sickle cell and and I was concerned of what people would how they would perceive me and would they pity me, would they deem me as weak, or would they think I'm attention seeking, etc. But those thoughts really lasted really not long, because what we all opened up about that this was important for us to talk about, and I almost find it like such a superpower, an unfortunate superpower that we have to have something like this, and it needs to be shared. So, on the negative aspect of like let's say the general public, I haven't necessarily had like that blockage. I would say of just being a new, like beyond just an advocate, but a new organization in the sickle cell space. That's been more of a challenge for me of trying to get a seat at the table and having to just honestly build my own table. Um, and that's a whole different conversation for a different day. But that has been more so like my triumphs of like trying to actually get into the sickle cell advocacy space as a warrior, my damn self. That has been more challenging than getting like positive reception from the general public.
Okay. I love those responses. Oh, was someone gonna add? I'm sorry. Am I echoing?
No.
Okay, sorry. Um, to add to that too, I see social media as a barrier in a way or a challenge, somewhat of a challenge. Because I could be at the hospital documenting, and possibly a nurse walks in and sees me, or a doctor walks in and sees me. She or he would automatically think, "Oh, I'm okay. If I could get on social media and record myself, I'm okay." So to ask this next question, or I'm gonna bundle two questions into one, what are any barriers that you guys see yourself or like see with other people with sickle cell disease, like that y'all face in healthcare settings? And like what way does education play a role into this? How important is educating these healthcare staff or even the community about sickle cell? How important is that needed for like greater awareness and understanding of sickle cell disease?
I think a lot of the times they don't understand that pain is subjective. Like just because I'm at a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, that doesn't mean that I'm not, distracting myself on my phone or the TV or something to keep my mind off of it. And a lot of the times when, again, like you said, when they see you like on your phone, if you crack one smile, they're like, oh, she's fine. Girl, no, I'm just trying to pretend like I'm okay. No, ma'am. But a lot of the times I don't think they really truly understand our pain. They just think that, okay, you're here, you're always here, so what's new? So it's just, I think they need to be educated a little bit more on it because everybody's pain is different. What's a 10 to me may be an 8 to you. It's none of us are the same
I even tell them that little pain scale is not meant for me. I'm
at all.
over. I tell them I'm 1,000 sometimes. Oh, I'm 25 here, 30 here, because that pain scale wasn't built for us to begin
I
with.
I had a nurse tell me because I told her I was like I'm at a 9 out of 10. She was like, oh, so you were just ran over by a truck. No, but okay, if that's what you want to equate it to, that's how it feels. So okay.
And then when I'm
crazy.
sleeping, sorry, I'm not trying to get off topic, y'all, but when I'm sleeping and they come in my room and see me, they put me as a 0. I'm in pain. I'm just sleeping. I won't really feel it. So yeah.
That's crazy. I'll say lack of education. Just like everyone said, I had a nurse come to my room and she was like, "Oh, sickle cell. I've never heard about it before." And I was like, "Yeah," just telling them about it. And she pulled out her phone to actually, research while standing next to me while I'm in pain, like, I'm waiting for my medication. And this girl's actually looking up things on her phone, which I mean, I have no problem with that, but it should have been, taught in school,
Okay.
and that's not even just a nurse, a doctor even did that. And to me, it blows my mind. Like, you went to medical school, you should know everything, or at least diseases, and it hurts to, have a doctor or a nurse standing next to me and they're like, is this a disease you just made up? Or, are you actually in pain? And just like Faith said, my pain is not in the chart, and when you say that, as a Black woman, like, nah, you used to drugs, huh? You want more drugs, huh? And I'm like, please, I just need medication. And it hurts. It hurts. So like, for me, I'll say just educating, professionals, healthcare professionals, in that field will help a lot. And just even in your community, it doesn't have to be all around the world advocacy, but just even in your small community, if you start there, that will educate someone there and they could spread it, across the world. So I'll say biggest thing is definitely education.
I would say, oh, sorry.
I definitely have to agree with Eva, definitely lack of education, and then also the many different hospitals that are in Houston, Texas. There are so many that it literally takes, especially if you're new, it takes a while to find your one because you can go to so many and then they all treat you wrong. And it's just like when you're in pain, it's like, I don't even want to go to the emergency room because I'm going to be sitting there for 6 hours when I could have taken pain medicine at home and probably controlled it a little more. So, just finding your hospital and then actually getting to know like some of the nurses that are in there. But still, even when you find your one hospital, it's too much. I know like last time I was sick, I was in a really bad pain crisis and they have like a little part in the emergency room where people like can stay, and I didn't get a room, like an actual room. I was like in the emergency room for 5 days, a whole week. Like that's where I stayed. So it's just like lack of education and then also treating us like we're real humans, so those are the biggest barriers. And then people just, I know like with me, like when I'm sick, my eyes get like really yellow, my skin gets pale and stuff like that. So when you're coming in and like you're talking, they're asking you, you're literally in tears. Like I'm a 10. I need you to understand like what is happening for them to actually like look at you and be like, okay, we really need to do something for this patient. Um, so I just hope that they step it up. That's all.
I feel like they should have like a protocol for just like sickle cell warriors
They're
where you come
supposed
in
to.
and like, okay, you got a crisis,
We
boom,
gonna
straight
talk
here,
about
I
that.
was just gonna say
They're supposed to.
that.
Well,
we
some
need to have
hospitals,
that. And like, I feel like mental health support, we should have our own little, therapy, like, just for us because it's a lot. It's very traumatic and it could really break you down. The pain itself will break you down, but just the whole world with its negativity and lack of knowledge will just adding everything together it will break you down.
I'll say I
so
have the same experience as you, Eva, and um, having to explain to doctors, what sickle cell is, or like telling them what is going on with you while you're in pain, while tears are running down your face, and them still being like, okay, well, I'm not too sure what this is. I'm not too sure what to do. And you're telling them what to do, and they're just like, really? Like, are you sure? I feel like that's a big barrier as well.
I think the biggest problem is the need of medical staff that care,
Mm-hmm.
because some of the nurses are there for the aesthetic.
Yes.
Some of the doctors are there for the check. We need to find the people that are there for the patient, and the people that are there that are willing to be educated, because some of the doctors' egos are so bad that they don't want to be educated. They don't want to hear what you have to say. So, and I feel like until we can find some sort of gray area in between the people that they're bringing in, that's when the real change will start to happen, unfortunately. I mean, we could kick and scream as much as we want to, but until you run into that one doctor that you're either your mom finally humbled because she had to get with them, or, but it shouldn't have gotten that far, you know? So like I said, it also comes down to just finding those good people that are actually there to help.
And we actually have a question from our live stream from a current medical student, but she generalized it saying, what can future physicians, pre-med or medical students do to do to better provide for patients with sickle cell disease? And I want to expand that beyond just like the physicians. This goes for like pre-nursing, pre-health, anything. What can they do better to provide us with better care?
I was gonna say, just like a lot of them said, just having to explain what it is. And I think that there needs to be more hospitality classes taken like each year to like, I don't know, refresh them, because like you'll be surprised. It's just the simplest things that it takes. Like I've had nurses say, oh, like I have other patients to attend to, so you need to give me a second, or you're not going to keep having me running back and forth. I'm just like, wow, like, are you serious? So I think just something as simple as like if you were at a restaurant or if you were somewhere else, like if your parent was here, how would you talk to them? So just something as simple as that, just how to talk to your patients and treat them like people.
I would say empathy. A lot of them lack empathy for people in pain or people in general. And they just go into these fields, one, because of the money and the aesthetic, and then a lot of them don't actually care about people. But like I always say, what's the point of taking a job to care for people if you don't care for people? Like you have to care for all people to take care of people. And a lot of them lack empathy, and that's one of the main things that I'm noticing in the hospitals with nurses, doctors, all through. A lot of them lack empathy.
I would definitely say more research. Like, I mean, this panel alone, and we're sending it out to people, and a lot of people don't know about it. So, we're just educating more people. But I think coming across people who like your friends and they educate other people who don't know about sickle cell, I think that could help too, because you never know like who's in whose circle that's going to be a doctor or something like that. Like I said, I went to school for clinical laboratory science, so in my classes we actually talked about sickle cell, and I kind of was like the test dummy, which is crazy, but we like drew my blood, and they actually got to look through the microscope and see like what my cells actually look like, and we compared it to somebody else's in the class. And I just like talked to them about like what we really go through in the hospital and sickle cell like that. But not everybody with sickle cell is going to be go become a doctor or something like that. So I guess just educating other people that's in other people's circle and having them spread the word, just doing different things like that.
I was actually gonna say, I think that it's not necessarily a super lack of education. Well, it is, but follow me here. When they get to the topic of learning about sickle cell medical school, they're learning it strictly from a scientific point of view, and it's not aligned to the human experience. And so Jasmine had the opportunity to be able to come in and like pair what they learn in the textbook to how it actually is reflected in an actual human being. And they're able to provide this when they're observing like cancer patients, and also free education again in film and media. They learn about a certain cancer, they go home and they watch a Netflix series, and that rare cancer is being spoken about, but they get to relate to that actual human being, that person, and see the impact that the cancer has had on them. And I think that that is like one of the big things that's missing, is because sickle cell is not as amplified as other illnesses and it's not as mainstream. The only time they get to learn about it is in medical school. And if there's not that component that involves like a human experience and real life story and how this disease really impacts real people, then by the time they actually get their white coats and they go out in the field, they're only stuck with the preconceived notions that they learned from fellow doctors that were misled, about the stereotypes that they have around just Black people in general. All of those things, they carry that with them into the hospital. So, and it's not like can't be resolved. I think that there is money that can be allocated to pull in stories, pull in narratives to be paired with curriculum to like potentially resolve for that. So that's my two. I'm not in medical school, but how one of my best friends is in medical school, and she's often trying to bring that human experience. She doesn't have sickle cell, but she loves me, cares for me, but that's not enough, right? Like this, I do think that this has to be embedded in the actual curriculum within medical school.
I just want to add to that. I think they definitely need to do clinicals in a hematology clinic so they can actually see and understand what's going on. I think that schools definitely need to implement that because just doing clinicals just in like, the basics, it's not enough. The ER, it's not enough. But yeah.
So my best friend, she actually asked the question. She told me she's in medical school. She's an MS2. She told me that they had it around on a patient on a ward, and one of the patients happened to be a sickle cell patient. And she told me that having that experience with like, being with me and all that prepared her how to take care of this patient or like properly, I don't know what's the word, help the doctor, the attending doctor at that situation, like have a proper treatment and all of that because she sees what I go through. So having that education beforehand or seeing someone go through it, having that human experience, like you said, Alexandria, that's definitely a game changer for betterment. Now, to kind of switch the topic from challenges and all of that that we go through, let's talk about empowering our community. So, what is the most important like policy changes that needs to happen within our community to improve the lives of people living with sickle cell disease? And I'm gonna briefly say something real quick. I just did a policy forum. Alexandra was on it too, but we basically advocated for our states for the Sickle Cell Comprehensive Act. I think that's what it's called, the 2025 one. And there's another act. I can't remember its name, but there is two that's currently in the congressional session right now. And the passing of those two bills would be a game changer for every patient in America. Currently, there's some people that's without care. They have gaps in care because of insurance stuff, or even they can't access care. So I feel like us having these laws will definitely change the game with us not having to be admitted as much. And we're I don't want to, say this like this, but we're gonna help save America money with these bills because we're not in the hospital as often. Currently, about 3 billion a year is spent because of sickle cell patients, and that's insured patients. Sickle cell patients being in the ED or anything like that. If we have these bills, it'll be cut significantly. So,
Can you
yeah.
briefly like go into what the bill is? Because when it comes to insurance, I'm definitely one of those people who don't have insurance, which is crazy because I have sickle cell. I just have insurance. But in Texas, it has been way more difficult to get Medicaid, and I don't understand why. They want me to actually prove that I'm sick, and it's crazy. So yeah, I definitely want to, hear more about it if you could go, go into a little more detail because your girl needs some type of insurance. I need help.
Into the bills.
What'd you say?
I said, Alex, do you want to go into the bills?
Yeah. So okay, so the one that directly could be beneficial for you, Jasmine, would be the Comprehensive Care Act. And so that actually was addressed with Congress a few years ago, and they're readdressing it to continue to get that money allocated. And so what that would do is that it will incentivize states, so including Texas, to adopt more health home models within Medicaid, and it can improve like the coordination of care for individuals to get enrolled in Medicaid, like yourself. So if you don't have insurance, you actually would a healthcare worker will actually call you and be able to identify this is a person living with sickle cell disease and they don't have insurance. What the heck? This is crazy. We need to make sure that they have access to adequate care. And so that is one of the bills, one of the top two bills that they're actually trying to push within Congress to get passed. So I pray and I hope. I was a beneficiary of Medicaid back in my collegiate years. And I don't know what I would have done without it. And so that's why me and Faith were on that call a few days ago to try to get it pushed. So for you, Jasmine, what you could do is you can actually call like your state senate and actually like advocate for it. Like the one people can't see, but the one pager that Faith sent you, you could literally send that to them. And they really do look at it. They have to. And it's helpful because when things come up, especially with the allocation of money, these are things that they can advocate for. So I say go for it. On that topic though of like policy, because I just attended and it was informational for me because my agenda advocacy is not on the policy side. I support my fellow warriors and advocates that do. I was strictly there to be educated and to learn, but I discovered something that could impact me and my organization was just a lot of the allocation of money towards sickle cell could be resolved with proper research. But to get proper research, you need allocation of money. And so there's actually a fight to push to get the CDC to be allocated 25 million to be able to collect more, to create more programs around sickle cell research. I think the one they currently have only covers research within 16 states and it doesn't even reach at 50% of the sickle cell population. So the reason why this is important, because if we had a magic wand and we were able to get money allocated to do proper research in all 50 states in America, we would be able to, one, be able to get that comprehensive act passed, Jasmine, because we have the data to back up that it's important. We will be able to identify a more accurate number of individuals that actually live with sickle cell disease because there's several that are still unaccounted for. We will be able to do a lot. For my organization, we're struggling to get a fair representation of individuals of the actual financial states of those living with sickle cell disease and the impact of having a typical 9 to 5 job. And we need that data to be able to back us up when we go make the acts to bid corporate donors that we need money to create an accelerator program. And so people don't realize it's I get like a crowd, I get the support of warriors like yourself taking my surveys, but to really get a comprehensive view, it takes millions to get that level of research. So if the government was able to give CDC that 25 million, I can guarantee you I can get the stats and the data that I need to be able to do the policy, the advocacy work that I intend to do with my role in this fight towards sickle cell disease. So for those that are listening, there is a lot that needs to happen. There's a lot that's not happening, but the bright side is that there are people that are fighting to get our voices heard and ensure that we have the support that we need from a policy perspective to ensure that we get everything that we need as individuals, and not just as individuals, but also caregivers as well, and even screenings for babies, because that got lost in translation as well. That used to be a thing, and we are no longer mandating newborns to be tested for sickle cell disease beyond sickle cell type SS, when I just learned the other day there's over 20. So that is another thing as well too. So okay, I think I tried to be as concise as possible on the policy end.
You're good. You're good. I loved it. I loved how you hit everything. They also have the HRSA Sickle Cell Treatment Act, and that also goes into like education towards healthcare professionals for sickle cell patients, and making sure they're knowledgeable of how to treat us and what sickle cell is, and also improving our quality of care. But going back to the protocol y'all mentioned, your friend here, that's how I got into our trip program. I made a policy prospectus that basically had a protocol how all hospitals should treat us. And it would be like a federal mandated thing that all hospitals has to follow. Because, there's certain policies that certain conditions have. And these hospitals have to follow them. But I haven't seen one for sickle cell specifically. So when that's published, I could give y'all a copy. But yeah, I feel like we do need a protocol because I hate jumping and hopping from different hospitals because they don't know how to treat me. I personally don't like that. So if all hospitals, like no matter what state I go to, what city I go to, if they had one standard protocol to follow by, like just that skeleton, I feel like we would have better quality of care and we will not be as sick as often. We won't have to keep returning to the hospital because sometimes we go to the hospital, they think we feel better, send us home, then we're back probably like a week later, a few days later. And that's because they just don't know how to treat us. So, um, that's what I wanted to say about that. Does anyone else want to answer the policy aspect of the question?
So outside of us, what can like, our friends or family do to like help push the policy?
So I sent the one pager to y'all. I also put it in the chat of the YouTube live. You guys could read over that. And I could also send in the sickle cell fact sheet about what sickle cell is and the demographics across America. You guys could call your state legislation, talk to them about these. Get yourself like, briefed about it first before you call them. Answer all your questions through us, or you could answer all your questions through a provider. Get all of that done. Call them. I won't say bully. I was gonna say bully. Harass them a little bit, bully them to like, pass these laws, to be serious about it. Cause I'm in Texas, a red state, and I am glad to be in the district of Representative Al Green, cause he does not play at all, especially about us sickle cell warriors. There's other representatives as well that don't play about us, but when I was speaking to the Republicans, they kind of were like, "Oh, well, it's not my thing," and da da da, like trying to brush it off. But I could tell they just think like, "Oh, this is a black disease. This doesn't like, matter to me in a sense." So I feel like keep on showing them how passionate you are for these bills to be passed, and they're gonna see how serious you are. Someone's gonna listen. It could be 5 years, it could be 10. I don't know, but someone will listen if you keep talking to them about it or keep approaching them about it.
We could also like so the organization that did that policy day, it was Sick Cells and the Sickle Cell Consortium. Child, ooh, I
Sickle
can't.
Cell Community Consortium.
That one, yes, amen, love them. And so if you just like, let's say go on either their Instagrams, let's go for Six Cells, for instance, and DM them, they have an email template. Because some people may not be comfortable like calling and etc. The email template, because I sent it, it literally has the three bill, all the bills that we're advocating for. And I'm sure they can also align if you don't know who your state legislative person is, I'm sure they can also tell you that as well too. So I would say like the immediate like resource you can go to is go to Sick Cells on Instagram, give them a DM and be like, hey, I want to help push policies. Can you send me the email template to my state legislator? And I'm sure that they will give that person in your family, your network, all the information that they need to make the ask.
And I would say just like join organizations. I know just bringing awareness out there, the more groups there is. I mean, we all advocate for one thing, but the more there is, we will be heard. But to add more policy change, I'll say like better transition for like programs for pediatric patients moving to adult care. We don't have much of that. So a lot of um, pediatric moving to adult care, they just lost, and that's where most of us get most of our challenges because mom is not there to advocate for us or dad is not there, so we on our own and we don't know where to go, and that's how we hop from hospitals to hospitals, doctors to doctors. But if we have a protocol where, okay, you moving for pediatric care, this is who you should go to because we have this person installed for you or for you, it's better for us to get there, get the help, or have better quality of care. So I'll say from that transition will help a lot.
So, we do have a question from the live stream, and I'm gonna quickly answer this. What if there were sickle cell centers like cancer centers? And I live in Houston, which is the hub of medicine. So you will see like different cancer centers like literally everywhere. Like it's kind like a McDonald's, let's say, or a Walmart. Like it's everywhere, you know? I say with sickle cell centers, there's only one big one in Houston. Like you could go to a pain management clinic, you could go to a hematology clinic, but there's an actual specialized sickle cell center in the Texas Medical Center, and there's only one. It's ran by Dr. Iru Madupe. And I feel like there needs to be more policies to, have more centers just like this. But it also goes into funding. Many of these centers get funding from the state, like or federal funding. So if they can't already get that, we can't open up enough. So that's why advocacy is important for us to have like more of these resources for us. Um, the next question, we're gonna switch gears over to genetic therapy. We have a question on the live and our little set of questions. But I'm gonna ask Keta Keta IZ asks, do you see the treatment or possible cure for sickle cell moving to gene therapy in the future? If so, what will make this option more available and affordable for those with sickle cell? And yeah, whoever wants to take that.
Okay, so one of my biggest grievances or little rants that I'll go on Instagram when it comes to gene therapy is how people are throwing around the word cure. Because it's not a cure. Okay. So essentially what is happening, for example, with myself right now, year 5 out from doing gene therapy. Mind you, I did it in trial phase. So I got paid for it. So it hadn't been approved by the FDA yet or anything of that nature. So everything for my personal gene therapy was covered by the hospital, whether it was my port being placed or whatever the case may be, right? When I just met in January, I just met with the team, and they told me if they were to receive my labs and somebody was to say, "Hey, read those and what does this person have?" My labs are consistent with somebody that has sickle cell trait. I'm not like they haven't been like, "Hey, you're done, you're cured." With gene therapy, it reduces the symptoms that you have. So the pain that I have currently is damage that has been done previously to my body that the gene therapy cannot fix. So if you have avascular necrosis, the gene therapy cannot fix that. If you have damage to your knees previously, the gene therapy cannot fix that. Me personally, I have not been admitted for a paralyzing crisis in the last 6 years. I have not had a paralyzing crisis in the last 4 years. I had like a little cold. My doctor thought since I did gene therapy, the steroids wouldn't affect me. I took the steroids, it triggered a crisis. So we now know I cannot take steroids even past gene therapy. So me personally, if I had the opportunity, I would do it again. When they came to me with the idea of it, I had just lost my second friend to sickle cell. She was only 13. So when they came to me, I was like, let's do it. If it goes wrong with me, y'all figure out, help somebody else. That was my main goal with doing it. Like I said, I would do it again. It's definitely been life-changing. Yes, I have challenges, but that's only because they don't have much research past year 5 or 6, and I'm at year 5. So the research is now me. I'm the grandma of the group. Y'all gonna have to, work off of my case and things of that nature. In terms of payment and things like that, I mean, it may just take a couple years for them to figure out those kinks, but during that time, start thinking about if that's something you really want to do. So then once the opportunity comes, then you'll know for sure, yes, that's something I want to do, or no, I'm not quite ready to do that yet. If that makes sense. Okay.
And I love how you nipped it in the bud in the beginning that it's not a cure. So yesterday, my sister actually sent me a article about the man in New York who was cured, and she was like, "Oh, is this true? Like, is this legit?" And I basically explained to her like, yeah, even though they don't have the disease, they still have the trait. So like, ultimately, you're not cured. And I honestly don't like the news articles about. I think earlier this year or last year, there's a 12-year-old person. I don't know if it was a girl or boy, but 12-year-old person who was cured, and those are very misleading because like for the rest of us with sickle cell disease, people are asking me like, oh, why don't I, get this done? Why don't I have this? And I'm like, y'all don't know the price of this. It's $2 million to do
Right.
one. And I remember when the whole gene therapy had came out, my phone getting blown up by everybody. Like, oh, you should do this. Da, 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 da. And it's like, I don't know, for me personally, I want to see more research on this before I, do it myself. It's fairly new. Like, even though the research has been a few years, about like probably a little bit more than 5 years with everything. Um, I want to see more done before I opt myself into this decision. So, how would y'all, what am I trying to say? How would y'all, I guess, combat these type of messages or even like with the misleading news articles and all of that? How would y'all go about that? Because me personally, that article she sent me yesterday, I did email the person already saying like change because it's not a cure. So
Before somebody else answers, I'm sorry. With me personally, when I was going through the process and I would see people post things about it, I'm under the comments constantly. You could follow me. Hey, this is what's going on. I can tell you what's really going on because I'm experiencing it right now. I'm always been very transparent when it comes down to that. Especially when it came down to fertility, right? They say like you're gonna get chemo. It may affect your ability to have children. I saw a lady comment saying she never wanted her son to get gene therapy because she wanted grandkids. Okay, well, essentially that's his choice, number one. Number two, there are other options. I got an ovary removed. It's somewhere chilling in Pennsylvania. I say I pay child support on it, you know? So I'm like, oh, here we go. It's time for my child support payments, you know? So there are different options, but it's just about people getting out here and telling people these options because as soon as they hear something, it's shut down like, oh no, I don't want to do this because they're experimenting on us again. Or oh no, I don't want to do this because of this, this, and this. When I did it, like I said, I jumped into it and I was hoping that I would be able to help the future generations because the sickle cell life is very ghetto. So if we can make advancements while we can, I'm gonna do what I can, you know. And like I said, I had lost friends from it by that point and everything. So I'm like, let's do it, you know. I didn't have anything to lose. I was 19 years old, still at my mama's house. Let's go, you know. So it's definitely something that you're gonna have to decide on if it's really what you want.
So I have a question. Why did they move like from bone marrow transplant to like gene therapy? If
not sorry, I did not mean to cut off your
I
question,
don't know the answer to
but
that.
not everyone has
100%.
not everyone has a match to BMT.
Mm-hmm.
But I think most people could be more eligible for gene therapy. But the only barrier with us with gene therapy is really the cost.
Mm-hmm.
Like aside of people's like, I don't know, mindsets a bit about it, if they could have gotten it, they already would have, but they can't because of the cost of it. Some insurances, when it first came out, I remember insurances were telling people, hey, yo, go get this. And you'll be like, the first person under this insurance to do it. And that's just because the insurance wanted, like, the accolades. If people don't have insurance, what are they going to do? So I feel like that's why people are more towards the whole gene therapy side of everything rather than BMT. Because BMT, not everyone can get it. Not everyone has a match. Not even people. Some people don't have siblings. Like me, I'm an only child. I don't have siblings. So
well, I have plenty and none of them were a match. So I understand that. So,
yeah,
I just wanted to know like why they, are they just testing out other things or like was BMT not working anymore, but
yeah. So to segue into mental health now, because like y'all all been saying earlier, y'all were traumatized a bit. Still are. I still kind of am, or I am. Um, how have you guys as advocates focused on your mental health, one, and used your platform to discuss mental health and sickle cell? Because having a chronic illness, any chronic illness is hard already on your mental health. It's an emotional strain, financial strain, physical strain, but that emotional part of it, once that's, gone, everything else trickles. So, how are y'all navigating that?
Therapy. No.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like depression is one of the most common things that come with having sickle cell and, going having a chronic pain illness, kind of thing. So navigating mental health while having sickle cell has been one of the biggest, I guess, obstacles, challenges that I've had to go through. And so finding things that I really like for myself, that even like smaller things, going on walks or, finding hobbies that I really like, just doing things for me that can help in, you know, mental mental health wise. Also, connecting with others who are like me, and having that support with them, um, communicating back and forth about experiences, ideas, how we can help each other kind of thing. I feel like that really helps um, in mental health.
I think for mental health, it's a lot. Even in relationships, you bounce through from this boyfriend to this boyfriend. The moment they find out you have sickle cell, and it's like, oh, is it contagious? If I touch you, am I going to get it? It's like you have this sores on your body. It's like you're not going to get it. So even with that, it takes a toll on you jumping from that. And friendships, I've lost a lot of friends due to me having sickle cell because they're not educated. They think, oh, hey, if I'm around you, I'm going to get it or something like that. So dumb. So just finding that one person to talk to. For me personally, I'll say God. He has been everything, um, every time when I'm low, I just pray, take a walk, exercise. And a lot of sickle cell patients, we can really do intense exercising. So just taking a walk is okay. Journaling, I write a lot, about how things are going. And just meeting up is just with one friend, just talking to them like, hey, this is how my day went. Um, or your parents, they gave birth to you, they know what you're going through since birth, they see the pain you go through. So I know some parents are not really out there for their kids, but if you have that one parent there for you, I'll say just talking to them, letting them know, hey, mom, dad, this is what's happening. It's affecting my education. It's affecting my relationship. It's affecting ABC. And just talk. That will help a lot.
I definitely want to just piggyback on what you both said. So definitely for me, I didn't realize, just like I said, I've been good for like 5.5 years, but coming back into these crises, I didn't realize like how it really took a toll on my mental health. And I was just like, dang, it's bringing me back. I already like went through depression. I already went through like, not being understood and having low self-esteem and just not feeling good enough. Like, why am I feeling all these feelings again? So I had to like relearn myself. Like I prayed a lot. I'm looking for a therapist now. I did go through therapy when I was younger. And just like you just said, like having friends that don't even understand like what you're going through, or even sometimes like feeling judged, or them, thinking they know, or talking about you're drug seeking, don't do that. That's gonna have a long-term effect. And it's like, you're not in my shoes, just like, or your parents getting frustrated because they don't have answers. You feel like you don't know who to talk to. So what I had to do was only lean on my peers. But I feel like God knows what he was doing, because like I said, I met so many people with sickle cell this past year. And that's when I started going through so many crises again. I guess he knew that I needed my village, and that was, that sickle cell community. And my family and friends are coming around now. But it was the time where I just really felt alone. And I still kind of do feel alone. But again, I'm looking for therapy. I do music and just like good distractions and journaling again. So it's really taking me back to like my old habits, which are good habits. So that's for me.
I'll definitely piggyback off of that. Um, Definitely being in a new state. I guess it's not new anymore because I've been here since 2015, but being in a new state and being hospitalized and not having anybody like spend time with you and stuff like that, definitely takes a mental health toll, because it's like I'm going through this and I'm here by myself, and then these nurses and doctors aren't understanding me. And, you just want to cry your eyes out and just sleep it all away. But I definitely have to say prayer. definitely helped me. And I do have a good village now, especially with my boyfriend. And we have a 2-year-old, and he's always making sure that when I don't feel good, he's, taking care of the baby. Like, mommy needs to rest, when I'm in the hospital, he's always, bringing him up there to spend time with me, and then making sure that, I'm good and stuff like that. So, and just having like a few friends who don't have sickle cell, but they always like check in, like, hey, how are you doing? What do you need? Do you need anything? Or even when I'm hospitalized, I have like one good friend, she'll come up there and sit with me for 2 hours, or until she can't sit no more. So just having that village, I try to journal. Sometimes I be forgetting, y'all, but praying is definitely my biggest thing, though. That helps me mentally. And then talking to my mom, but she be making me cry because she always be like, I just want to be with you, because she's in Denver. And I'm like, listen, you supposed to be my support right now. We not supposed to cry together. um, but yeah, and then just creating more friends and loved ones that just build you up and make sure that you're always good. So that helps mentally. I did find a therapist maybe a year ago. She just moved from California though. Um, and she actually helps like couples. So, if you have sickle cell and then your spouse doesn't have sickle cell, she helps, the couples navigate through those problems to understand. Because, it could also take a mental toll on your partner also, but I don't know if she's like got her license in Texas yet, so I haven't like followed up with her. But if she did, I definitely do want to go through that and have somebody else to talk to outside of just talking to God and myself. Because definitely having a therapist will help, and especially with somebody who understands what you're going through. But yeah.
Um, I, I would say there's a little bit of a difference once again with some of our experiences and stories. With me being able to go to that camp when I was younger, I'm still friends with all of those people. So now we're adults. Like we went from getting our first checks together to now like engagements and babies. And we've unfortunately had friends that have passed, but like we've all been that support. And I think also this day and age with social media, like if you follow those pages like Six Cells and all the different pages that are there, if you even look up the hashtag sickle cell, you'll find somebody, follow them, slide up on their story, like I'm going through this too. And then that's how you start engaging with somebody else. Um, and I find that that helps because then you're able to relate to somebody. I also, with me being an advocate and my mom as well, she made sure that my friends that I had throughout elementary school and middle school understood what my situation was. And I ended up being blessed with such good friends that my one friend, she would always have pool parties for her birthday at their house. And I wouldn't swim because like the water would be too cold. Her dad went and bought a heater for their pool so that I could participate. So with being able to speak out and say, hey, this is a part of me. I can end up sick while in your care. Like, let's make sure you know what's going on. I've been fortunate enough to have a pretty good village when it comes down to that. I think the only time where I've needed like therapy and like real mental health hope was when my friends were passing, and I was like, okay, we knew this would happen at some point. Now this is real, and unfortunately, it hasn't stopped. So I think just taking the time to cherish the memories with the ones that you do meet and things like that is pretty cool being able to do that.
Well, I don't want to be too redundant. I similar to y'all, me and God go together real bad every day. 9 a.m. devotional in that journal. We got to do it. Therapy. I've been in therapy for a few years, but like really heavily when I went through my experience. And then we all said community. And I realized that not every warrior is has the ability to have community that some of us have access to. So it's like finding other mediums to have a balance of mental health. So like Kaya said, social media and syncing with warriors, but for someone also to for a minute before I started my advocacy journey, it was difficult for me to hear other stories or want to communicate with other warriors because I still was suffering my own PTSD. I also had survivor's guilt as well of certain things. I just didn't really necessarily know how to manage all of that stuff. And so I started just incorporating like more physical activity. And hear me out. I know that that could be a little contradicting, but it really has helped. As this is coming from someone that has vascular necrosis in her hips. I've found ways to like still have movement in my life. And I realized just being in movement, and this is down if you're spiritual and all that, like just moving that energy throughout your body, like getting up from a stagnant place when you're down, like and showing up for yourself every day. Like just putting one ticket in every day to be like, you know what, like I'm getting up out of this bed. Because think about it, we all know days when we're down bad, we can't move. But on the days you can move, do it. And then really see like what it could do to your mind and your body and your spirit. And it allowed me to be grateful on days where I'm like, I remember that full month I could not walk. But today I'm on the elliptical. I'm doing Pilates, you know what I mean? And so this is just for warriors out there that don't have the community, that don't have access to get therapy, that, don't have like the resources that we've been privileged and blessed to have. But what you do have is mobility when you have that opportunity and the opportunity to just try to you know, again, movement produces oxygen in the brain and all those things. So I just do want to promote physical health as well because I do think it's tied to mental health. And this is also for someone when I got diagnosed with AVN, I was terrified to move because I thought I would hurt myself more. And those 2 years where I was stagnant was the worst I felt mentally. I was really depressed. And the moment I said, you know what? Well, if I got to get my hip replaced one day, I might as well just try to move and hopefully it helps. And it actually has helped with the pain too. So hopefully for anyone's listening as well, like I hope that that provides another angle that you could do to like improve your mental health.
For me, I would say therapy has been a big help for me because I noticed that when my mental health is down, it triggers a crisis. So whenever I feel down, I'm like, oh, Lord, here we go again. But therapy, prayer, and even though my family is in a different state, they still show up. Like those FaceTime calls, them little messages when I'm not feeling well, those help a lot. And then I also have a dog. My dog is my lifeline. That's my baby. And I try to find like hobbies, things that I like to do. I like to travel. I work out and I love to shop. So you go catch me on a plane somewhere, I'm gone. But yeah, just finding those little bitty things to show up for myself, that helps a lot.
Y'all, this is powerful. I hear all these mental health going on, and I'm like, I thought it used to be just me. I just sit in my bed and cry and just say, God, why me? And this is beautiful. I mean, I just want to say y'all strong and resilient. It's like this is not a curse. I used to tell myself it's a curse all the time. If the world goes down, just like let's say if the world goes down with malaria, we standing up. We ain't going. Like we have a superpower. So I want y'all to know, like, this is not a curse. This I say my life is beautiful all the time. It made me who I am because someone can walk, just like Faith said, in my shoes, even for a mile. I'm a go-getter. I think of something and I go for it because I tell myself if I could battle sickle cell, I could battle anything. So anyone watching, just know you're not alone. Find a group, talk to God. I promise He's alive. Through my darkest days, even when I died, I'm now up. So He's there. He is alive always. So just talk to Him, get a group, get a friend, take a walk. Sometimes you sneak in a candy or two. It's okay. You deserve it. Treat yourself. You'll be all right.
I definitely do want to add, like, for all the viewers that's watching, whether you're family or friend or whatever, when you do see your friend with sickle cell or family member having their dark days, encourage them to, do something, get out and move. Like Alexandria said, my boyfriend makes me go on walks. I can't work out as hard as he does, but I'm be in the gym doing a little something. And that helps too. But definitely encourage, whether it's you come sit in the bed with me and we're painting, or reading a book together. Anything helps, you never know how you can lift your friend or family member up. So
our time is far spent, ladies. And I know our conversation was so good and we had a plethora of questions, but I just want to ask one last question, and this is for our viewers. If anyone wants to get into advocacy, if you could give one piece of advice to someone who has sickle cell disease and they're new to advocacy, or just someone who's a family member or ally who just wants to get into advocacy, what would that piece of advice be?
Stay true to yourself. Stay authentically you. I on my platforms, I don't say what I think people want to hear. I'm gonna tell you what it is. So just stay true to yourself. Find what your thing is. Because as soon as you find what your thing is, the people, they're gonna rock with you. So that's what I say. Find what your thing is.
Yeah, I was actually gonna similar find your role in this agenda, right? Like, and nothing is too small or too big. If that just means you're starting off and just sharing your story on social media, that's something that's huge. You could impact one person's life, and that could mean something. If that means you also want to start organizations, because people told me, why we have so many different organizations? Why do you want to also start? Don't you want to just, collect, just join forces, etc. And it's like, yes, I want a partner, but I also do see like where my fight, what my role is in this fight as well too. So don't be afraid or ashamed. If God planted the seed in you and it's something that is yearning for you to like go ahead and like start, go ahead and water it and do it. And you'll be surprised to see how many people will champion you and want to support you. And don't get discouraged if you feel like people also are not on that support wagon, because at the end of the day, the advocacy could be healing for you as well too. And again, if you just can impact one person, that's really all that matters. So just find your role, find your niche, find what works for you, and you'll be just fine.
Just add into that, just find who you are, you know, your role in life, your role in this world, because some people, they don't know why they're here. And I feel like, just like Alexander said, God has planted a seed in each and every one of us. Find that, pray about it, find that, know who you are, and that's what will empower you to speak for yourself or to speak for other people. You want to live. When you don't have any purpose in life, that's when you give up. But if you have this will to live, this power within you, you will burn, and other people will see you burning and see the shine within you that will keep you moving. So I'll say find that.
I'll definitely say, like for the people who want to become an advocate or just want to help, like your sickle cell warrior friends or family members, maybe go on like 5K runs or find like different activities or different, what's the word I'm looking for? Different events that's going on, because a lot of these groups do throw them. They have walks and runs, and that's a way to raise awareness. So find different ways that you can just step in and raise awareness with your friend or family member. And then as far as someone who has sickle cell, if you don't have a community, well, you have one now. Hello, because we just built one. So I would say don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to ask questions. No question is a stupid question, because we all need to be educated in some type of way. And yeah, lift somebody up. So
I would say mine would be hold on tight because it definitely is a ride, Just continue to stay strong. And also don't compare yourself to your peers. You're different. Just embrace that. You're different, you're unique, and just, stay focused and just stay positive through it all. And then just build yourself around that positive community. Like lean on the ones, not the ones who don't understand, but focus on the positive ones, not the negative ones. And if you're starting off your advocacy, like she said, it's well, like a lot of everyone said, it's plenty of people who are just starting out, and there's so many people that you can network with, and it just starts with just one little video or one thing. Like if you're just posting facts, like 3 facts a day, like you're bringing awareness. So that's my piece.
And what I would say, I always tell this to anyone who wants to do advocacy for anything, remember your why. In this space, so many people that I've met that's been doing it for years, they lost their why. They forgot why they're doing this. Many people do it for the accolades, the awards, the money as awards, award money, and other things, but they forgot their why. Advocacy in this space as a sickle cell warrior is very important, and I try to stay true to my why. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this for the generation after me to have better treatment than I have. I'm doing this for the education because there's not a lot of sickle cell education out there. You could Google sickle cell disease, you'll get some scholarly articles and all that, but you won't get the actual human experience that I'm portraying on all of my stuff. So yeah, just to remember the why of why you're advocating and who you're advocating for. Um, y'all, we have to end, but first, before we end, I have to thank a whole bunch of people. First, I would like to thank my chapter, ETS, Epsilon Tau Sigma, for allowing me to do this, and our basilisk, Alicia Brock. And I also like to thank some people on the sidelines, that's behind the scenes, Soror Ebony Bibbins Benson for being our tech chair for today and our chapter, but just helping us out for this past week with everything. And also Soror's Anicia Palmer and Trina Moore for helping us with the logistics with the whole YouTube live and all that, and even creating all the promotional flyers for this event. And I would love to thank my sister, my torch sister, Soror Dunn. After everything that's happened with me the past month and a half, she's been behind here helping me out organize this when I was in the hospital, when I had a family loss and all of that. And I truly, truly appreciate you for everything you do for me and the chapter. So thank you, ladies, for also being here and taking time to be here. Your voices are empowering, they're powerful, and they're important. And thank you, Ashley, too, because Ashley is currently not feeling well and she still made it to this panel. So thank you so much, Ashley. You know, I love you, girl. Um, yeah, but that's it, ladies. If you guys stay behind, but we're ending the live stream now. If you guys really enjoyed this, please comment if you guys want to see another session in the future. But that's it from us. Thank y'all so much for joining. And you could follow these ladies on their social media. They're tagged on our SG Row _Mo _city. They're tagged on our flyer. So please be sure to follow their different platforms and see what they're up to.
All right, it's ended. We're no longer live. Ladies, thank
That
y'all
was
so
awkward.
much.